Today is April 9th, 2022. And in honor of National Poetry Month, I decided that I want to do something a little more personal. So I'm going to start off with a little story and I'm going to end with a piece. It starts in 1977. I was in junior high school and my mother took me to see Ntozake Shange's For Color Girls Only. I was so captivated by the words and the performance and how Ntozake Shange's work just was innovative. I mean, I've been around artists my whole life. My mother was a musician. I had, been trained in musicianship and singing and performing since a very young age. But the innovative way that she displayed poetry just was so mind blowing that from that moment on, I said to myself, I want to grow up to be just like her. So I go along a little more in my junior high year. Of course, I was adored Prince. I mean, I have to throw him in there anytime I can. And also Gil Scott-Heron. And when I came across his work, my mother happened to have one of his albums, and I was like, wow, this dude, he is so handsome. He's articulate, he's bold, he's brave. It was all the things that I felt that a man should be, and I was totally in love with him in every way. And the fact that he was a poet and he was doing it in a way that was not normally seen, not the classic way of poetry, but I loved it. And it inspired me that you didn't have to be a certain type of artist to be an artist, just or to be appreciated as an artist. So anyway, let's skip a couple of years, quite a few years forward. And when I first moved to Chicago, I was performing in the jazz, community, singing for a couple of different bands. My voice coach was one of my favorite people in the world, Von Freeman, rest his soul. Wonderful jazz musician and great guy. We share the same birthday. And I also would go to Spices periodically. And I would sit back and watch a lot of the poets. And I think for almost 2 years, I watched and I absorbed. And the first time I ever got on the stage at Spices, I didn't even do poetry. I was doing like a Peter, Paul, and Mary kind of thing with Phil Seed, guitarist, and my friend Alex. And we sang. And, I never actually did poetry on Spices stage, but I was around and I checked it out for many, many years. But the first time that I actually did poetry, it was on the stage of the Cotton Club. And I had been telling some of the poets that I had run into throughout my little travels in the city that I could do poetry. And they were like, yeah, okay, how cute. They didn't, because they never seen me do anything, so they didn't know, which is adorable. And not knowing that I had won, third place in Atlanta, Georgia for a Martin Luther King poetry contest, in the city. So I've been noted for poetry for a very long time, but of course they didn't know me, so it's cool. And of course, just because I did poetry in the written form doesn't mean that I was going to be any good as a performance poet, so it's all fair. But anyway, going forward, some of the people that I had talked to earlier that kind of poo-pooed me off happened to be there. And so I didn't say much. I just got up on stage and I was like, I'm gonna show these people something. And so I did this piece, and it's been my liberation piece, because for the first time in my life, I was showing someone or the world a piece of my soul. Poetry isn't just like poems to me. It's like opening up a window to someone's soul. You're finding out how they look at things, and they're telling about their experiences, and that's super personal. So it's understandable that it's scary to let people into your world and into your life and into your soul like that. But I did it just the same. So anyway, the piece that I did that night, I walk up to the stage, nervous as heck, but determined. and I began doing this piece. Sumptuous lips that dripped of revolution, commanded the fates by sheer force of will, a voice that could shame the smoothness out of satin, carried upon a statuesque frame that exuded nothing less than a modern-day version of an African warrior, chased with a razor-sharp intellect like I had never known before. And ooh, I was hooked. I had dabbled in Dunbar, Emerson, Parker, and Keats, found their ambrosia satisfactory, even many times inspiring. But the bouquet of their creativity, aromatic as it was, proved tame in comparison. Even before I could feel my Jones coming down, my warrior kept challenging my concept of reality, giving me the reassurance that an artist's expression didn't have to be one-dimensional. See that black boy over there, running scared? The boy's got a problem. Yeah. See that sister looking fine till she started drinking wine from the bottle. Ooh. And yeah, the revolution had been televised. And yes, child, it was live, taking me on a whirlwind tour of a world that stood verified by his words. Cotton candy politics, Reaganomics, stupid Petrix, all rolled up into a backwater urban groove that taunted my hips and moved my lips and opened the door of the awakening of muses that whispered my fate. Did I mention that I was hooked? Dare I say he had me tripping off the spiritual ammunition that he just kept giving him. It still unsettles my equilibrium, not like lithium, but more like angel dust. But it never failed to reinforce my unfaltering hope for the further liberation from ignorance. Every single time he crossed my ears. Happy National Poetry Month, everyone.